our profession is secure profession. We don't want to treat or we don't want to serve someone at the gunpoint.
22 people have now been arrested by the Assam Police. This is in connection with a gruesome case of a 73-year-old doctor lynched in Jorhat district. Indian Medical Council from Assam has called in a 24-hour strike. Magisterial inquiry has been ordered on this as well. An FIR has been filed against the journalist who tried to expose the administration for serving salt and chapati to students in the name of a nutritious midday meal in Mirzapur in Uttar Pradesh.
Uddhavji has said it again and again about that. He has opined about it. He wants that the trees will be protected. Where you are going to plant them, that's the issue. Let them answer it.
Shiv Sena minister softens his stand on RA, says party chief Uddhav Thackeray wants to protect the trees, but the solution to find a place to replant 3 times more the saplings, that is still a huge question. India's Deputy High Commissioner has met with Kulbhushan Jadhav in a Pakistani jail, and this comes in after ICJ ordered Pakistan to allow consular access to Kulbhushan. It's another milestone for Chandrayaan-2. Vikram lander has successfully separated from Chandrayaan-2 orbiter this afternoon. The 11-day festival of Ganesh Chaturthi begins today. Mirror Now wishes viewers a happy Ganesh Chaturthi today. You are with the big story with us. I'm Sahar Zaman. 22 people have now been arrested by the Assam Police for the death, a tragic case of lynching of a 73-year-old doctor in Jorhat district in Assam. The doctor was beaten to death by a mob of tea garden workers on Saturday for allegedly being absent from duty. They blamed him for the death of a patient. The Indian Medical Council of Assam has now called in for a strike tomorrow, a 24-hour strike, to protest against the doctor's death. A magisterial inquiry has also been ordered. This case is just one of the many cases of doctors being assaulted across the country. There have been several doctors' protests, doctors striking from works, asking for a central law for protection of doctors at their workplace in hospital. Remember, more recently here in the month of June, doctors across the country who protested against the assault of a junior doctor at the SSKM hospital in Kolkata. This soon spread to a nationwide protest. Doctors who've been demanding a comprehensive central law to protect doctors against these assaults. Assaults that result in the death of doctors as well. They've demanded a 3-layer security. They've demanded CCTVs be in place in hospitals, and this is across public, private hospitals. On the big story today, we're asking, are doctors in India unsafe, and what is the government doing about this? Let's get in further details on this tragic case here that's come in. The latest here in this being the one from Assam. We have with us our correspondent Arindam getting us further inputs here. Arindam, this being extremely tragic because this was a 73-year-old doctor who was working post-retirement. He had volunteered to serve in the very same estate at the hospital where he was lynched. He was beaten to death. The police, of course, has arrested 22 people. Any other measures as far as the hospital is concerned, and asking for more security at work?
Well, yes, indeed, this is a very tragic incident because this is the doctor is an elderly citizen. He is 70 plus, and he was voluntarily servicing in the tea estate even after his retirement. So the thing happened like this, that one patient was brought to the hospital and he was declared broad dead. Upon that, the mob got agitated and that started assaulting the doctor, which resulted in his death. Not only that, the mob tried to forbid an ambulance also reaching the spot, and also have started to object the police personnel who were present in the spot. So this has created a lot of repercussion in the state of Assam, and the medical fraternity has come up strongly against this incident. They have called for a strike tomorrow, and in fact, this has created a lot of ripples across Assam.
That's right. Arindam, there is, of course, continuously been a demand that is being raised by doctors across the country to bring in a central law, while the government in the past, as latest as even in the month of August, an assurance that continues to come in from the central government that there would be a draft bill which is already ready. There would be a law that would be brought in from the central government here for protection of doctors. But there are others also who argue that this is, at the end of the day, a state law and order subject. Can a central law really help? What the protesting doctors have been demanding here in Assam?
Well, that is the main point over which the doctors are protesting tomorrow across Assam, because they want a stringent law demanding the protection of doctors in their work field, whether they be in the private sector or in the government sector. So there needs to be a stringent law which will protect the doctors in their duty field. So definitely a very strong law is to be there for which will protect the doctors.
Stay with us, Arindam. We're going to be getting in more voices here on this. We have Dr. KK Aggarwal, who's the former IMA President, with us on the phone line. Dr. Aggarwal, thank you for being with us. This is yet another tragic case here. This one's resulted in the death of a 73-year-old doctor who was in fact working as a volunteer post-retirement in the very same estate where the tea estate workers had lynched him. We have got assurances from the central government here as well that a draft bill which is ready, which is going to be called a law on violence against doctors. To what extent do you think that a central law would protect doctors across the country? Dr. Agrawal.
See, it's not a question of central law alone. It is also a question of implementation. Like when you go for somebody is troubling or somebody is beating a pilot or a train driver, the matter becomes very, very, very serious. Similarly, hitting a doctor in a medical establishment would mean you are putting other patients on risk. This has to be a non-bailable, and it has to be done on priority. And the action. So it is not only a question of making a law, but also to make sure that there is a non-bailable warrant in such a situation, so that this situation doesn't arise. Because you are basically putting risk of not only on the doctor, but also the patients who are in that atmosphere being treated by the same doctor.
That's right, Dr. Agrawal. And given that this is also treated specifically as a state issue, a state law and order issue, there are certain states who've assured for security at work, who've assured for separate laws within the state which would be brought in. We know that the Maharashtra state government has sanctioned about 33 crore rupees as far as providing security, upgrading security at hospitals, at public hospitals here is concerned. To what extent that could help in providing a safe working environment for doctors?
When we talk about safe working environment, it has to be a government, state government and the central government has to work together. It cannot be in isolation. And the Prime Minister has to intervene. Unless he intervenes in this matter, this will keep on happening. And you will start getting cases by cases, day by day cases will occur. So I don't think so. It will, because for the last 4 years, Health Ministry is trying to bring out an ordinance by a law. If you are talking about the law, that means it will come in November Parliament. So therefore, an ordinance has to come. Unless the ordinance comes, the matter will not be taken as seriously. Otherwise, what will happen is the matter will come in November. It will not be in a priority. Then they will say that we don't have a majority in lower house, therefore it is being passed only by the Lok Sabha. I think the time has come. This should be taken as seriously as a triple talaq, and an ordinance should come signed by the president on an urgent basis.
This needs to be taken up urgently here. Yes, of course, we remember a nationwide doctors' strike here that was called in by the IMA just a few months ago, asking for urgency in this. We haven't seen any assurance from the central government on that yet. We have Dr. Sanjeev Bagai with us on the phone line here as well. Dr. Bagai, thank you for being with us. Are you also of the view that this can now not stop without the centre's intervention, irrespective of what state legislature would say on this in other states such as Maharashtra and Goa, which are providing and working towards security for be provided to doctors at work, that this has to now be the central government's intervention?
Yeah, thanks. Good evening, everyone. My take is as follows. I think we need an urgent intervention, not only from the Prime Minister, but an ordinance signed by the President. I agree with my previous speaker, Dr. KK Aggarwal, entirely. Point number two, we are the most vulnerable and the most hittable community. I don't think the young doctors need to be beaten up, hit, or even sometimes land up with fatalities or with life-threatening injuries. We do our work as well as we can. And whether a particular state wants to intervene or not, I think the order needs to come from right at the top. And the doctors do need protection. Doctors do need to exert their rights. I do not think that going on a nationwide strike is going to resolve this issue. We have debated this. There have been huge episodes in Calcutta, in Maharashtra. One of my friends was very badly beaten up in Bombay. I think this is completely unacceptable, and the time now is really there that we need to do something on a very urgent basis and convict the people who have indulged in this heinous crime. This is nothing short of a heinous crime to beat up not only a doctor or a nurse or healthcare professionals or vandalize the hospital or its equipment.
Absolutely. Stay with us. We've also gotten reactions from the protesting doctors. Let's take a listen in.
It's a very, very sad thing that happened. We feel like we are doctors, but we save human being. We save their life. But on the other hand, which part of the people they live in the tea gardeners, they even don't know how to behave, how to respect a doctor.
These are, of course, concerned voices here. Dr. Aggarwal, this is not just a question of doctors asking for their right to a safe working environment. There have been incidents in the past where young doctors have been scarred for life, unable to recover from the trauma of an assault that they faced at work. It's also a question of ruining several careers.
It is impossible for a doctor's scenario to work in an emergency situation. Remember, in a country like ours, where number of emergency cases are on the increase, and emergencies are always handled by the resident doctors. Emergencies are not handled by the HOD, Hero Department, or by the senior people. And these junior people, if they are not taken care of, they will be discouraged. It will be inhuman for them to work in such a circumstances. Therefore, the Prime Minister and the President have to intervene. They have to intervene in these situations. When they have protection, when the parliaments have protection,
absolutely.
When the public servants have protection, why can't the doctors? Are we not doing a public service? We may not be a public servant, but we are also doing a public service. And in that situation, we need the same protection.
Well pointed out, Dr. Aggarwal. In fact, let's take your question forth. The very demand that you've raised here of centre's immediate intervention, this has stretched on for far too long. Let's get in a word here from the BJP. Ms. Anila Singh with us on the phone line. Anila, thank you for being with us. This has time and again been raised with respect to an urgent intervention from the central government. Today, we are looking at a very basic level work that has been done. There's just a draft bill that has just been prepared by the government, which still needs to go into several phases before it finally becomes law. Why the delay? Why isn't there an urgency here on this?
I agree with you. I think the procedure should haste and some strong laws should come up, because it becomes difficult for the doctors to treat the patients if the caretakers are going to behave in such manner, because when they admit the patient, if something goes wrong, they are high on emotions, and in that emotional stage, at times they attack doctors. So that becomes very unsafe. I totally agree with you. But I'm sure that the center is going to do the needful. But at the same time, the state government, to the best of my knowledge, 19 states, they have got some sort of a law which can protect the doctors. But at the same time, I can say that the local administration or the state administration, they should also come up with a procedure where which doctors can be safe and secure, and then they can do the treatment.
But Anila, given the fact that this is once again turned back to the state, saying that this is a state law and order issue, despite several measures that have been taken by the few states that you mentioned there on providing a safe working environment, on providing protection to doctors in hospital, it's not working on ground. Even in a state like Maharashtra, where we have seen time and again assurances coming in from the Chief Minister, 33 crore rupees allocated from the budget to upgrade security at hospitals, that hasn't worked as a deterrent, which is why someone like Dr. KK Aggarwal, who's been the former IMA President, makes it very clear. Everything has been tried at every level, and it is now for the topmost. It is now for the central government to take that step.
As I said initially, that I am pretty sure that the center is going to haste the procedure and frame up some strong laws so that doctors can be protected, and they can do the treatment with some sort of security in their mind. Because we very well know that in our country, even if we see the ratio of doctor and patient, it is unbelievable. So one doctor, he treats so many patients, and if that doctor gets hurt, then it is the loss of patients as well. So I'm pretty sure that the center is going to do the needful very soon.
Right, Ms. Anila Singh, do we expect a law to be passed here in the next session of Parliament itself, in the winter session here? Because there was a nationwide strike that we'd seen by doctors 2 months ago. It started from an incident, a very similar incident that took place in Kolkata. It spread nationwide. Doctors and the IMA across the country were protesting. There were assurances that had come in from the central government, but there was no urgency. While you keep saying that you're pretty sure that this would be taken up urgently, this is not what doctors are saying. This is not what they feel as per expectations from the central government.
See, I'm not the right person to answer this question, that whether this thing will be taken up in upcoming Parliament session or not. I think it won't be right on my behalf to answer that. It can be taken up with the health minister or the right person who can give the apt answer for this question.
Ms. Anila Singh of the BJP, appreciate you speaking with us here. Let's in fact quickly get you up to date on what the central government has done so far. We're looking at a very basic stage of a draft bill which has been ready by the central government. This would eventually be signed into a central law. What the expectations are, the Union Health Minister making it very clear that this has been a long-standing demand of the medical fraternity, seeking to prohibit violence against doctors, and this is not minor violence. As you can see, the latest images of the latest case here that has come in from Assam. This has now been a case of lynching, absolute threatening the life of doctors here at duty. Their right to work at a safe environment, which has been a continuous demand there by the doctors. Even in Assam, the Medical Council of Assam has called in for a 24-hour strike starting tomorrow, saying that we cannot work under such fear. We cannot work under such threat. In this latest case, it was a case of a retired doctor, a 73-year-old doctor who was lynched. He had volunteered to work at the tea estate, the very same place where he was in fact lynched by the tea estate workers there, at the very same place that he volunteered to work as a post-retirement service. In more reactions that have come in from the protesting doctors.
We have only one appeal, that please make our profession a secure profession. We don't want to treat, or we don't want to serve someone at the gunpoint. So please, if we are saving lives, then our lives should also be secured, right? So that is what our agenda is.